Hi, welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, the host, and today we're in northwest Kansas, Sherman County to be more precise, and we're on the Fred and Jeanie Schields farm north of Goodland. And you know, the conditions have been pretty tough. We haven't had much rain in the western part of the state, but we've had rains as of late. The wheat has responded to a certain extent, and the row crops are looking pretty good. We're planting sunflowers, and we're going to be joined here in a second by Fred Schields, and he's going to be telling us about his farming operation, and I don't want you to go.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Hi, I'm Jim Shroyer, host of That's My Farm, and today, folks, we're in luck because we're in northwest Kansas, we're in Sherman County, and we're on the Fred and Jeanie Schields farm just north of Goodland, and today we have Fred Schields with us, standing right here to my left, and he's going to tell us right off the bat here a little bit about his farming operation and how long the farm's been going. So, Fred, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
so
take
off.
Thank you for inviting me.
Good to see you.
No, actually, I'm a third generation on this farm. My grandfather homesteaded from the Switzerland area in the 1880s, and he'd heard about the Homestead Act, and things were really tough over in Switzerland about that time. So he rode the boat over and caught a wagon and picked out a couple of quarters, and that's how he got started. So. And that was in the county to the north in Cheyenne County, and of course our farmstead is right here in Sherman County. So yeah, it's a third generation farm. My father passed away in 1987, and we've been trying to keep the farm going with 4 daughters and some grandsons and some son-in-laws, so things are looking good.
So tell us a little about your rotation.
Yeah, this farm, we've kind of were pioneers to try two crops in 3 years.
Right.
We're very semi-arid out here, so people thought, you know, that's not going to probably work because on 16 to 17 inches of rainfall, it might be a little difficult to do this. But we found a way to conserve moisture, and with residue management and good fertility programs, that we go on a rotation of 2 crops every 3 years, and those crops vary, but typically it's corn and or sunflowers, summer fallow, and then back to wheat. So we'll have 2 crops in a row of wheat, corn, or wheat, sunflowers, and then back to summer fallow. Are
you specific on what fields go to corn and what fields go to sunflowers?
Yeah.
How do you distinguish that?
I do. I kind of have to watch the pH levels and the soil types, because the sunflowers obviously leave the ground a lot more bare. So we kind of pick and choose the ground, and of course we do soil fertility checks, and we also do deep probing of moisture. So the deeper the moisture, possibly we'll go to sunflowers on that ground.
Right. Okay. So you're mainly no-till.
Well, yes and no. We kind of still do a little bit of minimum till on the wheat ground. If it starts to get hard on us and we don't catch a rain in August or early September, we'll do a couple of light tillings. So
from the corn ground, then the fallow period, you're getting the wheat ground ready. You'll do some tillage.
We do, not 100% that way. We've kind of went to a no-till program, but we find that if the ground gets too hard and we don't get that late season moisture, I'm talking about in August or September, then we need to kind of break that soil hard pan on the top side so that we can get that small seeded crop to germinate better.
But going from wheat stubble during that fallow period to a row crop, either corn or sunflowers, you're probably pretty much no-till.
100% no-till there.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well, don't go away. We've got to have a word from our sponsors, and so don't move. So we'll be right back, and you guys at home, stay there too. We'll be right back.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
We're back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, the host, and we're in Sherman County with Fred Schields. And Fred, we talked a little bit about your rotations there a second ago. Let's kind of home in on how you get your wheat ground ready and some of the things that you do. So take me out of the fallow period and getting ready to plant wheat.
Sure. Well, what we might do in August is soil sample just to make sure what kind of fertility program we need for the wheat. A lot of that's generated basically on the prior crop, whether we took out too much nitrogen out of the corn and or sunflowers. Once we've done that, we will, like I said, might till it once or twice to get that topsoil just loosened up enough.
What do you use?
We use a tool called Landsman. It's basically just a set of discs and cultivator shanks with the tines and then a packer wheel behind. That tool seems to work very well.
And you just hit that one time with that, and then what do you do?
We've done once, we've done twice, and then we plant. We plant with disc drills. We've got a twin row disc drill, and we've also got a hoe drill.
Okay, good. So a hoe drill is mainly for maybe a little tougher conditions?
Yeah, I mean, there's times that one of the biggest struggles we have out here in northwest Kansas is getting the weed up. That's half of our battle. So there's times if our moisture is 5 inches down, we've got to go to a hoe drill to move enough soil.
Okay, so you got us getting ready to plant. Now, what do you? What's your favorite time? If you had to pick a day or two or a week, when would it be for northwest Kansas?
Well,
planting?
We just need to get enough growth that we can certainly hold it through the winter. We don't exactly need to get a lot of tillering in the fall. Our main goal is to tiller in the springtime. But if I could pick a week, it'd probably be between the 25th and the end of the month.
Right.
But because of the acreage we have to plant, we might start the 10th or 15th of September. Our Hessian fly free date is the 15th.
Right. And you want to be finished by when?
Well, crop insurance wise, it's the 15th, but we don't like to go much past the first week of October.
Sure. Seeding rates? What
seeding rates? Yeah, we're 100% seeds per acre.
Okay.
We've done that for years, and we encourage all of our neighbors to do that. So we have all of our seeds tested for seeds per pound, and then we make a recommendation
based on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be your range?
It can be on the lighter soils, the rolling hills. We might be at 900,000 seeds per acre, and we'd be up to 1,200,000 in the better soils.
Right.
For dry land.
Okay. Because historically up in this area, when I first got here, 30 some odd years ago, we were talking about 40 pounds, 50 pound seeding rate.
Exactly.
And that's only 400,000 or 500,000 seeds per acre.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. Okay, good deal. So now tell me a little bit about your fertility program. We talked about soil testing, that sort of thing, but what do you shoot for?
So we try to place all of our phosphorus needs with the drill when we plant. So if it's requiring 30 pounds, 35 pounds, 40 pounds, we do it all in the row. And then we put a little bit of nitrogen to get the seed off to a good start, and then from that point on, our nitrogen level is picked up on a top dress.
Okay, so you're looking mainly with a dry 1152O, something like that?
Yes, yeah, for the most part. We've done some nitrogen, time-released
Right.
nitrogen, and put it with some different kind of phosphins. We're also starting to add micronutrients. We're
Okay.
seeing some value there.
Okay, good. So total nitrogen you're looking at?
Yeah, it could be, it depends on what your targets are. If we got a full profile moisture 6 foot, we might put on 80 pounds of nitrogen, 30 to 40 pounds of phosphorus.
Okay, okay. Well, hey, don't go away. We've got to have a word from our sponsors, and you folks at home, stay where you are. We'll be right back.
I was in an accident where I fell off a roof. I took the conventional route by using medicine, and I went to see numerous doctors. I found that it really wasn't working as well as I had hoped it would. I don't know why I started to research stem cells, but I did. And I visited with the doctors. They were excellent. I had my neck done, I had my shoulders done, I had a section of my back done, my hips, my sacrum, my sciatica, and my tailbone. But it wasn't really that painful. I was surprised at how easily it was done. It took me approximately 4 hours from the beginning to the end. Now I am having better range of motion in my arms and my neck and my back. So it's been very beneficial to me, and I want to thank Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. It was a long road to get there, but I'm so glad that I found them.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer. We're here in Sherman County. We have Fred Schields with us. And so Fred, we talked a little bit about wheat and the family operation. Let's talk about corn and take us through planting and
Sure.
that sort of thing.
Yep. We've actually done remarkable with our dryland corn, I think, based upon the amount of moisture we get. We can achieve 120 bushel yields if we have the right genetics with full flex-eared and with the new drought-resistant corns, we're starting to see some really remarkable changes. But our corn program is just no-tilled 100% into the wheat stubble. We keep the wheat stubble clean from harvest all the way through the wintertime into the springtime. We plant very thin population. We pick and choose genetics, like I say, that'll give us a flex here, but our plant population is between 14,000 and 16,000.
Right. I mean, too much higher than that, it burns up pretty darn quickly.
It can. We can take it all the way to chest high, and it looks beautiful, and then it's...
Do you do anything like if you have a full profile? Do you say, well, I think I'll chance it a little bit and bump up the population, or do you just stay pretty much true to that 14 to 16?
No,
do you ever push it?
No, I used to, based upon subsoil deep moisture. If I had 3 foot versus 6 feet, I would make a change on my fertility program and my plant population.
You say you used to do that.
Yeah, I did it more often than I do now.
Okay, so now you're pretty much...
Because really, if you look at the last 10 years, we've been almost 6.5, 7 years of drought. So, I mean, things have kind of changed a little.
Really? Okay. So what type of planter do you use? Your no-till? What type of planter?
No, we use a 30-inch row planter, 24 rows, so we can get over a lot of acres. But we need to with just one planter and one tractor operator. So, and we put starter fertilizer on and a high rate of starter.
Okay.
Our corn, we primarily get 90% of the fertilizer down with the starter.
Okay.
And it's set 2.5 by 2 inches deep to the side of the seed.
Okay, okay. You talked a little bit about planting into no-tills, into the wheat residue. Lately, you haven't had a whole lot of residue. Do you think that's? Do you think the lack of residues really hurt you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's something to be said for the residue out here because of the arid conditions and the sunlight that we get and the winds that we normally get. The more residue you have, the more you can conserve moisture. But, we've tried different things as far as the headers, stripper headers and draper headers. We still like to leave standing stubble because it seems like with the stripper headers, we're leaving too tall a stubble. When we spray it, it kind of rots out at the base and starts to fall over on us and leaves a mat of straw. So we have to be careful how we harvest because we know that the no-till corn planting and or sunflower planting, we have to be able to get through.
Penetration, you notice any time of day difference in the morning
Yes.
versus afternoon planting? And
There's
some of
times you might as well go to the coffee shop and
just wait
and have
till it dries
coffee
out
in
a
the
little
morning.
bit. Wait.
But yeah, it can be, we get dew and so forth, and the straw gets real heavy.
Let me ask you one more question before we take a break. How much do you think you're getting bang for your buck on those drought-tolerant corn hybrids?
I'm yet to see it. I can say this, the last year we had our corn and we had about 10% to 20% of our corn acres in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very expensive, but all I can say is the neighbors said, hey, your corn held on 10 days longer than mine did, or 2 weeks longer.
And that's important.
Well, that can be.
Yeah, that's
Can
important. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm, so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer. We're in Sherman County and we have Fred Schields with us. So we've talked about wheat, we've talked about corn. Let's talk about the other crop in the rotation from time to time, and that's sunflowers. So,
Yes.
So take us through getting the ground ready. Of course, you no-till, but planting, what fertility program, when do you plant?
No, it's pretty much the same as our corn, except we plant about a month to 6 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of tremendous crops in sunflowers. It's oil type sunflowers. We're not growing confectionery.
Right.
And the fertility program is a little bit less than the corn as far as the nitrogen side, but we keep our phos levels really high.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a crop that requires more management, more pest control management, and it also, we're a little limited on our resources for delivering the product.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we have to kind of go with one. And we worry about a couple of things: weed problems, if there are problems, or grass problems. And
there's
also,
not many herbicides that can.
Not yet. I mean, they're introducing Clearfield sunflowers that will give us a little bit of hope, but they are a little bit harder on the soil. But we do mine some of the deeper fertility, so we feel we get some value there. And then we kind of worry a bit about fires during harvest. That can be a real issue.
Right. What are your seeding rates? What do you shoot for?
Yeah, we try to keep it pretty much in line with our corn planting, except the germination on sunflowers isn't as good as corn.
Right.
So we
have
found
to take that into account.
We found that most sunflowers are about at 85% germ, so we'll bump our seeding rate up 10 to 15% over corn, which is only between 16 and 17,000.
Right. Fertility program?
Well, it's similar. We just do it all with a starter, and we do have some foliar products if we need to use in the row. If we feel like we're doing some tissue sampling and we're lacking some nitrogen, we can foliar feed.
So what maximum amount of nitrogen that you put on?
No more than 50 pounds most of the time. Because we need to, the root structure on a sunflower will take some of the low nitrogen or deep nitrogen that we haven't been using.
Right, they penetrate a foot or two deeper than corn.
Yes.
And so they can scavenge way down deep, moisture and nutrients. So let's talk a little bit about your insecticide, your pest control program with sunflowers. How many times do you have to spray? What are your big pests other than sunflower moth?
Well, the seed weevil could be a problem. We have to really monitor that, and that's a hard one to detect because they get it into the stem weevil and seed weevil. So I generally like to hire a crop consultant because I don't sometimes have the time to check it weekly. So that's one issue. Certainly, you know, we want to make sure that you stay ahead of the game because with sunflowers you can't be behind. And we do all of our spraying aerial when it comes to the sunflower control.
Right. Do you once we'll do it for sunflower moth or head moth or 2 times?
A lot depends upon planting date. If we can push the planting date into this time period where we're at right now, we can generally get by with 1. If we find our moisture is running out, we said, oh, it's 1st of June into May, we've got to plant our sunflowers, then we may be faced with 2 sprays.
What is a yield that you shoot for in sunflowers?
Well, our farm average is close to 2,000 pounds, so that's what we strive for.
That's pretty good. Okay, don't go away. We've got some more to talk about, and we'll be right back after this word.
Are your cows practical or profitable? If you want them to be both, come to the Dale Banks Angus Bull Sale Saturday, November 17th near Eureka, Kansas, selling 140 yearling and coming 2-year-olds who have spent their days on the rugged pastures of the Flint Hills. For 114 years, the Perriers have been focused on providing hard-working, balanced trait bulls for progressive cattlemen nationwide. Make plans to join us November 17th or pre-register to bid online. For more information and to view our catalog, visit www.dalebanks.com.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to our last segment of That's My Farm. I'm Jim Shroyer, and Jeanie Schields has joined Fred and me. So I had a question I wanted to ask you is how have you tolerated Fred all these years? Maybe you don't want to answer.
I do want to answer that. You know I do. I told this story to a lot of people, but on our wedding day, my grandfather, who actually passed away just like a month later, he kind of rubbed on my shoulder and I listened. I said, Grandpa, what is it? And he was no German, so he didn't really speak that much, but when he spoke, you might want to listen. And he said, Jeanie, fall in love with him every day.
Okay, well that's good advice. That's good
Some
advice.
days are easier than others.
Okay.
But that, because as a woman involved in agriculture, we're not only spouses, but we're also business partners.
Exactly, and that leads into the next question. You have 4 girls.
I have 4 daughters.
And they kind of went to the winds, and now at least one is on their way back. So,
exactly.
So tell us, how fun is that having Tiffany back and having some grandkids around as well?
Oh, it is great because, with a large farm like this, it's wonderful to see that little blonde-headed boy chucking off across the horizon on something, because that's what we as farmers love about farm life, is that kind of, freedom and spirit with kids. But so Tiffany's back, and she's came back about 3 years ago now, and she's learning the farm and doing very well. Lots, of course, with farming anymore, obviously there's a lot of physical part that goes into farming. We all know that. But farming anymore is just about as much technical and business and everything else. And so she's very finite, so that's great. So she's doing awesome.
She's doing that. Well, that's good. So what about the blonde-haired grandson?
Yeah, his name is Hudson. He's 2 years old now. And Grandma's okay, but this guy is like, okay, I might as well sometimes be around and sometimes not.
So that's the grandson's the big partner.
Yeah.
We're hooked to the hip, except my hip's a little higher than his, but
he tries to keep up with you.
Oh, he loves it out here.
I mean,
he'll sit in a tractor cab for hours, just looking at the gauges and the levers and.
Do you explain everything to him?
Oh, I do.
I
do. Yeah.
It won't be long, and he'll be wanting to drive.
Well, he's already driving the golf cart, with him on my lap, of course. But he's just 2 years old.
Okay, well, that's a good deal. Well, Guys, thank you for letting us interview you.
Yes.
It's good to always come to Sherman County and to see the crops in you as well. But
Sure.
this year, unfortunately, the wheat crop is not doing too well. Drought, and then you've had a couple, 3 hails. The most recent one this past week, and it's looking pretty tough. But sunflower planting's going. The corn's looking pretty good. So maybe the drought's been broken. Maybe we'll have some more rain.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you.
We can only pray for it. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Thank you all at home there.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.